I'd like to welcome you to our final week of our series that we've been talking about beneath the surface of emotions. It has definitely been a trying series. Definitely been one that has caused us to take a deep look at the serious things going on in our life, and that I hope that we have seen that God has wanted to do some great things within us and through us. I'm excited about our new sermon series. We're going to be starting in a couple weeks. And I want to prepare you to get ready for that, because that's going to be our Easter series. We'll talk more about that next week. But you know, we are like civilizations, and the Lord is like a spiritual archaeologist. What do I mean by that? Well, in the Middle East and in Israel, I've been there, and one of the very common things that you find that happens with archaeologists is when a city was destroyed or the people wanted to rebuild or whatever, they would just build over the city. They would just build right on the rubble. Wouldn't really remove it, just build right on top of it. So when the city is discovered, they find layer after layer after layer of that city. In fact, the Via Dolorosa, when I was there, was told that it was about 6 feet lower when Jesus walked it. And so that's just a very common thing. So in the Middle East, we see that happens, but as well, in our lives it does. Listen to what Thomas Keaton says. He says, the Spirit intends to investigate our whole life, history of our life, layer by layer, throwing out the junk and preserving the values that were appropriate to each stage of our human and spiritual development. Eventually, the Spirit begins to dig into the bedrock of our earliest emotional life. Hence, as we progress toward the center where God is actually waiting for us, and we are naturally going to feel that it's getting deeper, and we feel like it's getting worse. And this warns us that the spiritual journey is not a success story of a career move. Rather, it's a series of humiliations of the false self. And what we find is God begins to show us the things that we've gone through and how He wants to remove that out of our life. Help us heal from that part. It's a part of our history. Whether we like it or not, it's a part of it that's there. And God wants to walk through us in that. And so it's here that the hardest of realities of our lives that we see. It's the monsters within us. It's the shadows within us. It's the strongholds. And it's the willful flesh. And it's those inner demons that we face. As well, there's the victories. But there's also victories that are waiting to happen if we just let God begin to dig. And begin to dig. Write this down. Our connection with God is related to our protection of time with God. Our connection with God is related to our protection of time with God. See, time with God is not a Sunday thing. It's time together that we come to worship Him. But this should not be the only time you drink from the well. This should not be the only time that you come to the banqueting table. This should actually be a testimony and a celebration time of you doing that all week. And if you need prayer, you get others to come and pray with you. But many think that Christianity is about what the church can do, what the church is, what's Sunday actually. And it's not that. And it's no wonder that we're malnourished, that we're weak, and that we're wandering, and that we're wondering, and we feel like we're left waiting. Luke chapter 15 talks about this protection at this time, about Jesus. Look at this, Luke chapter 5, verse 15 and 16. It says this, "Yet the news about Him spread all the more," meaning Jesus. "So the crowds of people came to hear Him and to be healed of their sickness." And look what Jesus did. Now stop. I know you're probably not going to do, but think about this. People heard about Jesus. Oh my gosh! Then they came to go see Him, and they wanted Him to heal them of their sicknesses. And that's amazing. That's exciting. But now look what Jesus does. Oh, here they come. But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed. Is it that He doesn't care about them? No. Jesus knew the source of His message and His power. He knew the source of His life. God and prayer. And so therefore, he often withdrew to get alone with God and to seek his face and to commune with him. And that's what it's about. It's about walking with him. It's about protecting that time. Now, are we here to say if you're driving by a car wreck and somebody's all mangled or whatever, and you go, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you, but I need to protect my time. No, okay, all right? Don't take it out of context there. So what do we do with this? What do we do if we're supposed to protect our time and have that time to connect with God? Write this down. Be still. I want you to circle be still. Because the word in Greek, or in Hebrew, the word in Hebrew for be still, of the two words be still, is rapha. And it does not mean to be quiet, or just be quiet. We think it's to just be quiet. But it's more than that. It's more than being quiet. It's deeper than being quiet. It means stop fighting. It literally means to stop fighting. To calm down, to stop. How many guys know that sometimes we needed more than just stop talking? Sometimes we need to stop fighting. We need to just calm down. Amen? Spiritually. We don't get that. We think so much of it is up to us. There's a part where you just got to go, God, here I am. Here's my worries. Here's my fears. Here's my anxiety. Here's my anger. Here's my frustration. Here's what it is. Because we fake it. We fake it. We fake it. You help nobody when you fake. Nobody. And you don't allow God to reach in. That's like when the blind man was walking like this and Jesus goes, well, hey, I'm here, right? And they're like, somebody help me. And Jesus goes, well, oh, no, I'm fine. I'm fine, Jesus. Everything's all good. Everything's great. Yep. Oh, these things, Yep. Okay. Well. Yeah. That's what a lot of people are doing spiritually. And the world looks at us and go, you guys are stupid. Because they see it. They go, if you really believe in God, why wouldn't you let him move? Why wouldn't you let him touch? Why would you just... Do we serve a God that heals? Yes. And sometimes God wants to get deeper. Because God just is not just to remove an ailment. This is good. God is not just out to remove an ailment. God is out to develop a relationship. Amen. It's used to describe literally the words faint or slothful. It means slothful. So think about it. Be slothful in your situation. But God, I got to fight, I got to go. And God's like, yeah. It's not the point that you give up. It's that you give up. It's not give up. It's give up. God, this has got to be you. And you battle in prayer and you just be with him and you rest in him. To the point to where it's like saying, like, God, if we were reading the Chuckaruda version of the Bible, it'd probably be like, chill out. Take a chill pill. Be cool, my babies. In essence, if you really want to capture it, it's really, really saying, let go. That's what it's saying. Just let go and let me, almost is what God is saying. Let go. Psalm 46, verse 10. I'm going to read it to you in a few versions because I want you to kind of see how they've been capturing it over the years into the different audiences, helping them to understand with what we're saying here. And it's very accurate. In the New American Standard Bible, it says, cease striving. How many guys would like God to say sometimes, just cease striving, let me take care of it? How many guys would like God to tell you that sometimes? Amen? There's times we have a part to do. Don't sin. Don't give in to temptation. But there's things and times where God says, just cease. In today's English version, it says, stop fighting. That's accurate there. Stop fighting. Another picture, God's word says, let go of your concerns. Now listen, does this mean that we become oblivious to them and we don't pay attention to them at all? No, it's saying stop trying to play God's part. Let go. Contemporary English version, which oddly really kind of lands it here, is our God says calm down. I like that. Our God says, look at somebody next to you and say, God says, calm down. Say, God says, take a chill pill. Come on now, tell them, say, God says, take a chill pill. Oh yeah. I love the Amplified. This is, oh, I love it. You ready? Let be and be still. That is, I don't know about you guys. How many of you guys got areas in your life where you're like, today I need to hear God just say, let be and be still. Yeah, let be and be still. It doesn't mean that we're irresponsible. It just means we recognize where we're supposed to be responsible. So as we see this, it really captures it there, especially in the Amplified. It's saying, let it go. Stop fidgeting with it. Stop that for a minute. It is a great picture of us and God saying, what are you doing? What are you? Let me help you with that. Just stop. Let me help you. Stop it. Put it down. Why are you so busy? Why are you wearing yourself out? Why are you trying to do what only I can do? Let me help you with this again. I am God and you are not. Let's try that. I am God and you are not. Why don't you tell somebody, He is God and you are not. It's like God is saying, you are forgetting who I am by working and working and working, and you're just getting more tired and more discouraged. No wonder. Yoo-hoo! So how do we do this? How do we let go? How do we be still? Jesus tells us how this is best done. Matthew chapter 6, verse 6 says this, but when you pray, go away by yourself, shut the door behind you, and pray to your Father in private. Then your Father who sees everything will reward you. So the first out of three key things that I want to attribute to this portion of Scripture that we can practice it would be silence. Because I think silence needs to be a part of it, but it's not just silence. But a lot of times, we're not too good with that. We think that our prayer life is dialed in. We think we got it, but I don't know. If it's kind of like when we go to have coffee time with Jesus, I think it looks a lot like this.
Hey, Jesus, sorry I'm late. Work was crazy today. No, don't get up. It's okay. Just got a little bit behind. People were being crazy, you know.
That's no problem, Chuck. I'm just glad.
I'm glad I made it, too. Listen, let's get down to business. I have a lot of work here. A lot of requests. First things first, pastor and his wife are at a conference. Keep them safe. Not a fan of the assistant pastor. The less he preaches, the better. What else? Ralph, his wife, is getting a tattoo removed. It's a stupid college party way back when. You know how those things go. It's in a real painful spot. I'm not a fan of football here, but my friend is. And if I could have 2 tickets to take him to show him how cool I am so he'd be my friend some more, that'd be great. My dog Nibbles has a gimp leg. Jiminy crickets. You know, now that I'm thinking, I could use a new jacket. I'm getting fuzzies all on this one. Please bless my sister, my mother, my father. Our Father who art in heaven, my neighbor, Cindy, hallowed be thy name. Can you sort of train my church to clap on 2 and 4, please? 1 and 3, this is not disco, people. This is serving the Lord. The guy who brings in my shopping cart from the thing, something I can do to get a raise. Can you read what I wrote here? I think I was dreaming. Bless the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Agriculture, the Secretary of Secretaries. Bless their secretaries. Thy kingdom come. And that's what bothers me about my mother. Hey, look at the time there. That's got to get going there. Jesus gonna wrap this up and say amen. Amen. It's been a pleasure praying with you this fine evening. I'll be talking with you. Have a good day.
It can seem like that, can't it? And I'm not here to condemn your time with God. I'm just here to kind of, let's open it up. Let's go beyond the surface of the pace of our lives and our walk with Him and really try and capture what we're really going after. Because first of all, I want to say silence does not mean that you have to be quiet with God as a whole. But there's a benefit at times to taking time to be quiet with God because you find that there are things that He has to say. Like He's kind of cut off there, right? But to just be in His presence and with Him. Laura and I have learned over the years that sometimes just being quiet together, holding hands, is refreshing as a couple. We learned that sometimes we just drive and we hold hands and we're just quiet. We listen to music together or we're just quiet. That life has lots of noise. I grew up in the city and didn't really realize how loud it can be in a city until you go on vacation from a city. And it's funny that when you have a moment of quiet, where your minds go. You oftentimes become contemplative. You oftentimes begin to think about things more clearly. You begin to think things out, the deeper things in your life. Your mind seems a little more clear and ready to commit thoughts to what is most important to you. And the important things are not drowned out by noise. And it's just amazing how you can get deeper with things in your life. Guys, in today's world, we are missing out so much on the blessings and the joy and the peace that we can have if we get away from the noise of life. Because there's so much clutter, isn't there? There's so much clutter on our calendars, in our lives, our daily life, so much noise. And what happens is we just keep hearing the problems and the cares of life, and not much gets resolved. We're just in survival mode. And part of that is just life. There's not much you can do. And part of the blessing is just saying, I got to get away from this for a bit just so I can get away from it for a bit. And there's no better place to get away from a bit than with God on a regular basis. But when you turn it down, that noise, we can hear God more clearly. And we're able to hone in on what His Word is saying to us. And we're not reading just to reading, but we're saying, what is His Word really saying? That's one of the blessings about Celebrate Recovery. We're starting that in a few weeks. Celebrate Recovery is not a program. It is a biblical, foundational process to walk you through to grow in God by growing out of the things that get between you and God. Everybody has habits, hurts, and hang-ups that get between them and God and being their best for God. So there is a biblically based, step-by-step process that you walk through the Word of God and the power of what it brings into your life. The only reason why you should be shameful about the things that are shameful in your life is if you don't address them and you act like they're not there. Now, I'm not trying to say that to shame you. There's more shame in not taking care of the things that get between you and God or the things that you need to take care of than saying, yeah, here's me. When you avoid it, how heroic is that? But when you address it and you say, I'm going after God. I want all that God wants. That's what Celebrate Recovery is. Who wouldn't want something to celebrate? How many guys would like to be able to celebrate God doing more things in and through your life? Anybody? I know I would. Go to it. Go to it. It's on Thursdays. Mark it down. What else are you going to do on Thursdays? Really? What else are you going to do? Really? What? Watch TV? Thursday's a stinker night on TV. Isn't it really? There's nothing there. Oh, I know football, but your team's not going to win anyways. Okay? All right? And it's only one game. But just like trying to read at a daycare, so oftentimes our attempts to hear God or be with God, we don't retain it because there's so much noise, right? You're trying to read, you wouldn't try and do a Bible time at a daycare. It's absurd. Now, listen, you must absolutely make sure that, I want to give you some help here, okay? It's not just about reading God's Word and then taking the emotions it conjures up and saying that's the Holy Spirit. Okay? You absolutely must make sure that what you think you hear God say is scriptural. First of all, if you're not even reading and you think God says them to you, it has to be scriptural. But not just that it is a verse, but even if it is a verse, you need to make sure that it's backed up by all other scripture in the context of all of scripture. Does that make sense? If one verse, your interpretation of it doesn't agree with Genesis through Revelation, then it ain't God. It's not the Holy Spirit. It might even be good and you might think it is, but it's not. It's not. It just simply is not. You'd be surprised how oftentimes in silence and contemplating this, people think that they hear from the Holy Spirit or God, and it's not, because it doesn't line up with all of Scripture. And that's actually how cults have started. Cults, that's how they start. And I'm not saying that's what anybody's doing here. I don't think that you want to be the leader of a cult, but it's bad doctrine, and we want to make sure that we hear the true God. Amen? We want to make sure we hear Him, and we're hearing Him through His Word. God gives us His Word. Listen to me. God gives us His Word, the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, as a canon. It's oftentimes referred to as canon. You know what the word canon means? It means a measuring stick. One of the first things I learned when getting my credentials, one of the very first things they taught me is canon. And I'm like, what do you mean? Go get him. I'm like, this is stupid. But then I realized it means measuring stick. It is what we measure and weigh and base all things on. Just because you feel something doesn't mean it is God. So we're not saying to get away and be quiet so you can feel things. No, God might speak things. You might feel some of the things God speaks, but it always goes with Scripture. You have to confirm it with true scriptural doctrine. If you want to get God's vision for your life, you need to hear God's voice in your life. Just confirm it with Him. Listen, the Word equips and the Spirit enables. Get in a place where there is silence and where you can be silent and where God's voice is noticed. B, solitude. It's not that it's bad to have corporate prayer, okay? That's not what we're saying. That's not what Jesus is saying. But you also have to have personal time with God. This is when it gets personal and it gets real and you get down to the important stuff. You also have to learn to be comfortable with God. That's one of the blessings too, is learn to be comfortable, like that He's not going to make the roof fall down on you. People think they should know God right away. Oh, I don't feel like I know God. How long have you been saved? 24 hours? Well, okay. For 2 weeks, why don't I have what you have? You have the same access that I have. It's just you got to get past your own fears, misconceptions, and all those things with God. Intimacy doesn't happen immediately. God wants it to be like any other relationship. It's not that He's holding back. He's right there. And it takes time for you to get to know Him. You know what intimacy stands for? Into me you see. Into me you see. It's up to us. He already knows everything about us. And He is there to let us know Him, for us to let Him love on us, to speak to us, to build us, to learn to trust Him, to encourage us, to direct us, truly see that He loves us, the real us. See, you got to start hanging out with God enough to do this. I'll use this as a perfect example. Okay? With the things that have been the biggest things to overcome in my life, I'll never forget when I came back to Jesus, I loved to drink. I was the biggest drinker almost out of all my friends. When people would pass out at parties, I would take their beers and I would store them. My closet was full. Warm beers. Before the party would start, I was already drunk. My friends would come pick me up. I would take people's beers. And I would drink warm beer. I didn't care. I loved it. That was me. I loved to drink. I loved what the alcohol would do. I loved the craziness, the wildness, the risk of seeing if I could drink how much and die. It was just crazy. And I remember when I came back to Jesus, here's what I said. I was struggling, and I just said, I was trying to be fake with God, and I'll never forget. I just go, Lord. And I didn't have a beer in my hand, but I pretend like I had a beer in my hand. I said, Lord, there's just something that I love about this. I love how it makes me feel. I love the atmosphere with it. I love it. And I want to be able to say that I love you, that I really love you. And I don't know, because there's times that I choose this over you. And I don't want to. But I have to tell you that I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you I didn't really like this or really love this. But I can tell you this, I want to love you more than this. And I can't do it without you. I haven't had a drink since. I can't tell how many times. I cannot tell you how many times I said, Lord, my flesh loves this. I enjoy this. My temperament enjoys, like, whatever it is. That's the real me. And I want to love you more. And I wish that I could, but I'm not. And I want to. And I don't know how to get there. I'm trying to do the don't do this, do that thing, God, but it's just really not. Would you help me? And that only happens as you just keep going before Him and see the real Him. Then you finally say, He already knows the real me. Why don't I just keep it real? Because He already knows you anyways. Sabbath. So silence, solitude, and Sabbath. I'm not talking about the rock band that Ozzy Osbourne was a part of, okay? I'm not going to play Iron Man this morning. God created the Sabbath so that we would rest. We need rest. If you're a parent, you know that you need rest. Mark chapter 2, verse 27, Jesus clarified the purpose of the Sabbath. Read this out loud with me. Ready? Then Jesus said to them, the Sabbath was made to meet the needs of people, and not people to meet the requirements of the Sabbath. See, it's supposed to be a 24-hour period where you stop your work and you actually rest. Now, let's not forget, this is actually one of the 10 Commandments. Exodus 20, verse 8. Read this out loud to me. One of the 10 Commandments. Ready? Together. Remember to observe the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. Now, what's that mean? The point to keeping the Sabbath holy is not just to rest, but it's to rest in Him. To honor and worship Him. Yes, to even serve Him. You can serve Him on the Sabbath and be honoring the Sabbath. It's not saying, I'm sorry, I'm resting in God. I know you're bleeding out right now, but it's the Sabbath. Okay? That's not what it means, all right? It is to rest from your normal work so that you can focus on Him and worship Him. So you rest your body, your mind, your spirit, your emotions, your soul. And as we look at this, so you're going to, now look, if you go to the lake, all right, that's not the goal. Unless it's after church, and praise God, go to the lake and rest, right? And if you want to take me, it's fine. But you rest your body, your mind, your soul, even your whole household. If you look at it, even your whole household is supposed to rest. Your servants, so men, your wife. No, I'm totally joking. That was a bad joke, okay? All right? You got to forgive me. Got to. Even if you don't want to. That's right. Your whole household, your servants, even your animals are supposed to rest. Yeah, your animals. Your work, what you're supposed to do is work your normal job 5 days a week, and then one day you do your chores, or you finish up your chores that one day, so that you can rest on the seventh day. Part of this is taking a day to be with God, and to be in God, and be restored for God. It is a time of fellowship as well. My family and I got this a number of years ago when we were in Los Banos. We began to just recognize that things were off, and I was actually diagnosed a workaholic. A Christian counselor, after working with me and saying, you are a sick individual, your head is crazy, it's like you're a crack addict, but you don't do drugs, you are a workaholic. You get the same high from work that a cocaine addict gets. And it's true. And so you're a workaholic. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, but it's all for God. Yeah, no, you're going to die. Well, anyways, it got to the point where it actually really affected my health. And so what happened is we got this, and I was trying to structure my week around this concept because I was actually sinning by not resting. It's a sin. And I actually almost died from it. But so to this day, even in our house, we don't really cook on Sundays. We order out. Now the women like me, huh? Preacher, that's my pastor. Ooh. That's that. We're going to start seeing the women increase here in this church. What's for dinner? Don't ask me, ask the pastor. But in my house on Sundays, we don't really cook. We order out. We eat leftovers. A lot of times we'll get like pizza on a Saturday night and just get enough to have on Sunday or whatever, or get a chicken or whatever. And we just eat. But people, people get what they want whenever they're hungry at our house on Sunday. If you want to eat cereal for dinner, I don't care. Eat it. It's your Sabbath. Eat what you want. Don't just eat. Our kids don't do chores. We rest and we honor God. And we actually had that rule. And I tell them, the garbage is full, take it out. They're like, Dad, it's Sabbath. I'm like, so before sundown happens on Saturday night, I'm looking around. All right, come on, get this, get that, get that. Then they all pretend they got to go to the bathroom. Come out of the bathroom like Sabbath time. Yeah, I'll give you Sabbath. I'll give you Black Sabbath. No, I'm just joking. Sometimes the garbage is full and the sink is full, but the good thing is our spirits are full too. Honest to goodness. It has made a huge difference in our lives. I cannot encourage you enough. Just even hanging out and relaxing, it's incredible. The way to do this is sundown to sunup. So like 6:30 p.m.-ish to 6:30 p.m.-ish is fine. Doesn't mean you can't go places or do things with people. It means your normal work stops, you rest in the Lord, and you get ready for church on Sunday and all that. I try my best not to check my emails on my phone. That's actually part of my obligation. I got to try and do that. And there's times that life happens, okay? And I encourage you, for those of you, because to be a business owner, okay? We've had this, I've been in the floor covering family business, and there's jobs going on and all these things. And my dad actually started doing this. My dad became a Christian. It was amazing to watch my dad say, we take Sundays off. I'm like, why? Started doing it. Because he couldn't rest if he didn't let his people rest. So I encourage you to trust God and find ways to incorporate Sabbath into your life. It does amazing things for you and for your family and for your marriage and you in your relationship with God. I'm convinced that many people, in fact, most Christians have not even really tasted an intimate relationship with God because they don't take a Sabbath. They only get away so they can study. But they don't get away and to commune with God and to just be with Him and to contemplate with Him all that is going on. That's why we need to find ways to molt. Did you know that a lobster in its first few years of life will molt 25 times? 25 times in its first few years. And the thing is each time it molts, it's vulnerable. It doesn't have that hard shell. And it has to wait and be vulnerable until that new layer grows. That's what the series is about. That's the theme of my pastoring. Let's molt. Let's be a group of people that molt so that we can grow. And that's going to take us being vulnerable at times. And sometimes protecting one another and being there and saying, tell me more. Why is this important? Because in all things, to continually know that He is God, we must regularly be with God. It's His desire. Too often, we spend time with Him out of obedience or out of obligation instead of a desire and a recognition for who He is. It's like coming home because you have to come home because you're married versus coming home because you get to come home because you're married. We see Jesus practice this, but even more than that, we see Him calling. Listen to me. We see Him calling. calling out to us to do the same that he did, but to do that with him. Write this down. He says, come to me. I want you to read Matthew 11:28 out loud with me. And this is Jesus talking to all of us. Ready? Together. Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden and overburdened, and I will cause you to rest. I will ease and relieve and refresh your souls. He's not saying stay away. I already know who you are. You caused my death. He's not saying all you want is more stuff from me. He's saying, I get it. Come to me, I get it. He's saying, come to me, I already know. He's saying, come to me, I'm here waiting for you. He's saying, come to me, I have what you need. He's saying, come to me, I want to be what you need. You can lay down with me and rest. I know even more than your body and your mind or your emotions need rest, your soul needs rest too. And I am the one that provides soul rest. And it's at that point that we almost hear him say this next thing. Stay here. Write this down. Live in me. In Matthew 11, he says, come to me. And in John 15, he says, live in me. But let's look at what this says. He's saying, live in me. Now, a very common version that we read in the New International Version is remain in me. But I want to show you what the words mean here in a minute. But first of all, John 15:4, this is Jesus talking to us, inviting us. Read this out loud with me now. Ready? Together. Dwell in me, and I will dwell in you. Live in me, and I will live in you. Just as no branch can bear fruit of itself without abiding in me, being vitally united to the vine, neither can you bear fruit unless you abide in me. I want you to circle the word there, dwell. Like I said, most of us know it says remain in me. But the word there, meno, it means remain, but the bigger picture is bigger than that. It means to dwell. And we all know that the word dwell means to live. It is your abode. It is where your stuff is. It's not where you just bring your stuff. It's where your stuff is. Because life hits, and it will. You'll need to know that he is God. So what is the benefit then of being still? Of slowing down and silence and solitude and Sabbath and contemplativeness? We have to look to the rest that Psalm 46:10 tells us. The first part, let be and be still. And then it goes on to say, and know. Recognize and understand that I'm God. Circle the word know there. The word know there, it does mean, it literally means to knowing him to the point that you recognize. Before you get there, you know that I'm going to the one that can take care of this. That he is God in your situation. That you understand who he is. That no matter what, he is with you. You and I have to grow. And we have to learn to understand who our God is in all situations. You and I, we need to learn and to grow into where we understand who God really is in all situations. We need to learn and grow from previous situations to act differently. That's why on Wednesday nights, we're going to be doing a new sermons focus. It's called The Life and Teachings of Jesus. And we're going to focus on who Jesus was. And the big book, if you want the hard copy, is $29. If you just want to buy it on Kindle, it's only $10. I would encourage you to do that. And you come and you learn, because we're going to go deeper and we're going to grow. But we need to learn to stop trying to do it all ourselves. And we need to know and recognize where our role is and where God's role is. A Christian who's trying to do it all, a Christian who doesn't rest, doesn't know, doesn't understand, doesn't recognize that he is God, doesn't know that I can just leave it up to him at points. The God you worship truly is God. It's like when Daniel, listen to me, It's like when, this is what you want to get to know and to understand. Listen to me, get this. It is just like when Daniel faced the lion's den, or Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego faced the fiery furnace, or when Elijah faced Jezebel and the four and the false prophets of Baal. That their God was and truly is God. They knew and they understand, and they got that because of the times of silence, solitude, and rest in Him. Their confidence, they had comfort and peace and courage, and it came from those times of being still, letting be, and being still. Now I know this challenges us, and I know it can seem extreme, and you can say, it's my heart's desire too. But do you really long for and love God like this? Instead of God, this is what the people that we look to in Scripture and look to in life have. Instead of God give me, it's God take from me, so I can just be more with you. Don't give me more, take from me more so I can be more with you. Because this is getting in the way, all this stuff. Because our culture, even the culture of the church, has become about having more and being more and calling that blessed. When so much of Scripture, when you look at David and Moses and Jesus, it shows us you can have all of this stuff. All of it. Take it. All these things that the world seems blessings, give all these things that I would just say, yeah, I'd love to have that. These things might even be good. But God, don't give me more. Take it from me. Because all I want is you, Jesus. All I want is more of Jesus. I'm going to play a song for you that is one of my all-time favorite songs. I sing this song all the time because more than anything, it shares my heart. In the morning when I rise, in the morning when I rise, in the morning when I rise, give me Jesus, give me Jesus. When I am alone, and when I am alone, give me Jesus, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. When I come to die, when I come to die, when I come to die, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. And you can have all this world. 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 But give me Jesus. It's all about Jesus. It's all about keeping God at the center. Take it all. Take all of this. Take my stuff. Take my trophies. I just want to be with Jesus. And part of that means doing with him what he would do. But it means never replacing what he would do with being with Jesus. He gave up his life just to be with us. It's about paying attention, watching our hearts, being intentional. It means that we have to focus on the one that's so focused on us. Even good things can be bad distractions. Life has us busy, and we are so terrified to slow down. We're addicted to the speed of life because it takes so much to slow down and then have to start up that train again. But trust him. Because think about what we give up when we don't. Time with the Creator and the Savior of the world. I want to end, before we take some time to pray, with something. Doing this is your rope. You need a rope for the storms. In the book of Hidden Wholeness, Parker Palmer talks about farmers in the Midwest who'd prepare for blizzards by tying a rope from the back door of their house out to the barn as a guide to ensure they would return home safely. These blizzards came quickly and fiercely and were highly dangerous. When their full force was blowing, the farmer could not see the end of his or her hand even. Many froze to death in these blizzards, disorientated by their ability to see. They wandered in circles, lost sometimes in their own backyards. If they lost grip on the rope, it became impossible for them to find their way home. Some even froze within feet of their own front door, never realizing how close they were to safety. Even today in Canada and in the Great Plains, meteorologists tell people to avoid getting lost in the blinding snow when they venture outside. Tie one end of a rope to your house and grasp the other one firmly. Because sadly, many lose their way spiritually because of the blizzard of life. How's your soul? It may be saved, but is it rested? When was the last time you took Jesus up on his offer to come and rest? To come to him and rest. I mean true, deep soul rest. To no longer perform, but just rest in him. Because we got to get back to sacredness. We got to get back to reverence. Because it's in those places that we find who he is and what he offers. You know, it was common for the Jewish people to build their day around times of prayer. Morning, noon, and night. And I believe that's what it's talking about that Jesus did. And I don't know what that looks like for you, but I'm just talking about finding that time to be still before Him, to be quiet, let Him whisper, to contemplate the things that are heavy, work them out, hang out with Him, resting, waiting, pouring out unto Him so He could fill you up. It's a place of peace and love we can only get from His presence. Because otherwise I wonder if we're spiritually a mile wide, but half an inch thick. We cover a lot of ground, but there's not much depth. And so what I want to do right now is I want to practice this. We're going to play some videos in a moment of worship. If you want to stand up, kneel where you're at, come up here. Rest in Him. But let's pray first before we do that. Let's close our eyes. If you're here this morning and you say, Pastor Chuck, I need to come to Him as my Savior. I don't ever recall saying, Jesus, I give my life to you. I am a sinner. I need your salvation. I need you. And I want you. And I give my life to you. I'm not going to embarrass you, not going to make you come forward, but just so I know I can say a prayer to lead you in this time. Just slip up your hand right now and say, Pastor Chuck, I need Jesus. Amen. Amen. Any others today? It's a safe place. Any others say, I need Jesus. Amen. Put your hands down. Those that raise their hands, we're going to say a prayer together with you, and we're going to say it out loud. Because the Bible says, confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that Jesus is Lord, and you'll be saved. So let's pray this out loud. Jesus, I'm a sinner, and I need a Savior. And you are the only one. And so I give you all of my life. And even though I don't understand it all, I know that you will grow me and show me as I live for you each day. I give you my life and I follow you, Jesus. In your name, Lord. Amen. When this video starts, find some ways to tie that rope to you and to home. Find that soul rest. God bless you. Feel free to come forward, to stand up, to just be in His presence.
You know my way. of the Lord.